Hello, world. Patricia, O'Connor, and Frida, Reba, Darcy here tonight, Christmas Eve for those who celebrate that. I don't know what night of Hanukkah it is. Uh, Here at Frida's place tonight, what you see is a cork bark Japanese black pine. This guy is a little over 75 years old. I've had it about 3 or 4 years. We nearly killed this tree about 2 years ago when I set it. I moved it in the house for 3 or 4 hours while I did some heavy construction out on the balcony. And when I moved it back out on the balcony a few hours later, that should have been no harm, no foul. Instead, I set it down in the wrong tray, and about an inch or two of the bottom of the pot was in water. I don't think the water looked deep enough, or it didn't look deep enough to get my attention when I set the pot down. But when the pot got set down in there, the water level went up, as it will tend to do when you put a solid object in it. And it got up to an inch or two of the bottom of the pot, which 2 days later, when I watered the trees, I saw the reflection of the water rising in the little gap between the top of the pot and the tin. It was in a smaller tin, so I didn't notice, the abundant space. So I saw then that it was, and I set it off to the side and poured the water out. And I didn't think a lot about it at the time. I think I probably had that could have been bad kind of a thought, when in fact it was bad. I'd already killed an inch or two off the bottom of the roots, and in a couple of weeks the tree would start to die, and it would start to die rapidly, and I would start to about as rapidly get pretty concerned. I would say that's what I was doing. I was pretty concerned. So during all of that time, that is my guy. I can do a lot of good work there. So during that time, I ran a systemic through it. I learned about feeding and when I should have been and when I wasn't, and how I'd missed that. And then I also learned how I had decandled the tree several years in a row, because it had been decandled the year I got it. So that should have meant that it was an elderly cork bark Japanese black pine, which would have meant, had I known, that I would not have decandled it every other year, or as needed. When they're this age, you're supposed to kind of take it on the yearly, see how your tree's doing, and make an audible. And I was oblivious to all of that. So a lot of things I shouldn't have done, and then I killed the roots in the bottom of the tree. So I don't believe necessarily in what people call emergency repots. I'd had it explained to me by a knowledgeable grower and on YouTube, nobody I know personally, that a lot of what we call emergency repots can be handled by modifying your whatever's going on waterways. You can almost always find some way to not have to emergency repot your tree. So I kept that in mind and watched the tree continue, having already run a systemic through it, having already read that I had missed an opportunity to feed it without feeding it, and then having learned that I had also decandled it entirely too much. I then continued to watch the tree continue to decline. So at some point, when I looked at the tree and went, Pat, it's already dead. Pull it out of that pot and see if there's anything you can see. I don't think you have anything to lose. It's probably already dead. I mean, that's what kind of color this tree was showing me at the time. So I cut the pot loose, and it hadn't been in this pot long enough. It had been repotted when I got it. So it had been in this pot 2 years. That wouldn't normally be a time to repot. Whenever I cut the wire loose, and pulled the tree out, I could see that there was a mat of dead roots under the bottom of the root ball. An otherwise healthy, full, good-looking root mass, and the bottom part of it, that much of it was absolutely dead and obstructing everything. And I cut that off with a knife, put fresh substrate in the bottom of the pot and replaced the screens and rewired the tree down. And I remember looking at it, and I did that so fast because I felt so paranoid about what I was doing and when I was doing it, and and just the general shape of the tree, that I didn't even think about the angle. When I got done, I backed off and looked at the tree and went, "Oh crap, I completely screwed up the angle." And then I went, "The tree's dead and you're worried about the damn angle. If it lives, we'll fix that later." And of course, the good news is after I did that, and yes, had I not done emergency repot, yeah, I know I shouldn't use quote fingers, but had I not done that, gone in there and seen that, I wouldn't have been able to clear that obstruction. I wouldn't have seen quite clearly what had gotten me here, and I knew the minute I saw it that layer, that very distinct layer of dead roots, was very equal to the layer of water that the tree had been whenever I had committed that little watering foul. So, there wasn't a big cause and effect mystery there. It wouldn't take somebody with a million years of bonsai to figure that one out. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. So what that also meant to us, though, what that going in is that for a while then, I didn't decandle the tree last year, and so it's looking, it's looking kind of. Oop, we kicked the camera. It's looking kind of bushy, and also I'm feeding the tree year round. Another reason why it's looking kind of bushy is because, like I just said, I'm feeding the tree year round, which would, and that's all designed to try to regain the health and the vigor of this guy, which I feel like, we're pretty well on our way. I think the color is reminiscent of this time of year. Otherwise, I think the color looks good. Oh, Pat, I just cut the wrong piece of wire. I was trying to cut a loop off here so I'd have a little more wire than I needed, and I must have cut the wrong loop. So now I'm gonna have. Those of you who try to keep your wire neat in little rows, knows what I just did. I'll pull the Pat. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I've already gotten started. Fact is, I already did a little, but then I went to adjust camera, and when I adjusted camera, I turned off camera. So the first 13 minutes are on me. I wired this branch, this branch, this branch, and this branch. Then I got to where I was about to do a slow spot, and I went to check camera and saw that we were already gone. So at that point, I thought about making it a two-parter, but I hadn't done enough actual wiring. It was 10 minutes of lead-in, kind of the way I do, I know, and then a problem. So I just started over. I don't think we missed any. You missed Frida. I showed Frida more. I didn't show Frida on this one. You haven't seen Frida on this one, have you? Watch this. Let's see. Going to very unprofessional here. There is a little wiener dog piglet, absolutely stuffed to the gills with honey baked ham. Yeah, she is like living the life. She is. She's living the life. Okay. So, all right. Gonna add a little wire to this guy. Put a little bit of motion in it. This being a cork bark, I have to be extremely careful about what I try to wire and what I try to bend. If they're small, young branches and they're thin and they don't have a lot of wire on them, I mean, they don't have a lot of bark on them yet, I can put some wire on that and kind of go to town. But once they start to have that bark gets thick while the living tissue inside there stays very, very small and fragile. And so if you try to wire and bend that, it will kill the branch inside and you won't even see that because you'll be looking at all that huge, thick bark, completely unaware that the little vascular part inside of it, which is tiny, like overly tiny. That's part of the anomaly with cork barks. They make all of that bark, but inside they're really tiny. The vascular part is not hefty at all. So you have to be careful with them, is what I'm saying. Okay. It sounds like people are also, it's warm tonight. I have the doors open so I can still, and I have the radio and I have our music on low, but I can still hear the guys at the pool. I can hear the kids enjoying the pool. It's warm enough on Christmas Eve to go enjoy our pool. Yeah. I probably got that work done on the bald cypresses and that work done on the trident maple at the best time last year. I know on the trident maple I wanted to do some work to it, and I just didn't feel like it had gotten cold enough yet. And what I would later find out was, as the coldest that it was going to be, it had already gotten, and that boat had pretty much already sailed. So by saying it's not cold enough yet, in November or December, I kind of missed the boat. By January, we were back into the 70s, and some weekends stuff would start budding back out again, only to lose it the next little cold spell. Anyway, pulling this stuff down a little is kind of the idea, and allowing more light to get into the other parts of it, and then we're going to work our way up. Also, don't worry, I don't plan on doing this tree on your watch. I don't even know if I'm going to make this a multi-parter. Yeah, I might make it a multi-parter. I don't necessarily think I have to do this in one setting either. I could take it back and put it back on the bench and come back and do some next week. This is going to be a lot of work. I should start here and start working my way up. So this is going to be quite a bit. And some parts will go a little faster, I think, than others. What's that? Ooh. Okay. I'm going to pick another one here. Come here. I could do that. And I could do that. This tree, I think I said it in the last one. I don't know if I've said it in this one. 75 years old. I am its third I'm its third person to take care of it. Uh, it has had a way, it's had a stellar past. It's got a, unlike me, it has a bit of a pedigree. I got it. I bought the tree from Jonas, who, oh crap, talk about losing. I put a wire around something and then got lost. Okay. I bought this tree from Jonas, and he had it from several years. He was one of them in there in the trees past. It had also gotten a styling from Ryan at Bonsai Balcony. Had styled this tree sometime in its past. Don't judge the way it looks now on that. It's probably been it probably reflects the last couple of years in my hands a little more than it should. But this has been, even with the mistakes that I made with this tree, this has been a really good tree. This has been a really good tree. Okay. Tonight, late, I intend to probably cut y'all loose from this at some point, and then I'll do a little bit more. I like working late. Also, when this gets tedious, I don't necessarily want to do it on video, because I may want to stop and start more, so that I don't start working frustrated. You know, like if I'm doing a video and it starts going badly for a few minutes, I've learned to stop. Don't screw it up. Quit. You know, I jokingly say, if at first you don't succeed, quit. Damn it, why be an a-hole about it? And I'm just kidding, because I have a long history of being hard-headed about stuff. And man, sometimes there's a lot to being said for taking just a little breather. You know, it's not going your way. That's okay. Take 5. I'm trying to get my anchor point going here in a way that I like, and it's messing with me a little bit. Get out of there, get out of there. I have, for the most part, enjoyed the holidays this time around. Being done with all of my medical stuff this past year. It took me a while to realize after all these years that I'm done. And it's one thing the day after you get out of the hospital, or the day you go back to work, or your first, you know, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm back, you know, at some point of your choosing that seems symbolic. But it takes a minute to get it through your head that you've actually completed, in my case, that was about 8 years worth of stuff. There was parts of it that were so crazy and so expensive. I just referred to it as Operation Somehow. I literally had no idea how I was going to pull apart all of that off. And this past year has been so cool. And this past holiday, going solo, just fine. I enjoy going solo. I really do. I got to say that in life's past, wasn't that crazy about me. But now that I'm crazy about me, I am so good hanging out here uh, in my crib. And the little bit of Christmas joy or holiday joy or hustle and bustle that I could have been possibly missing out on, I more than got made up for by working retail. So, which, you know, I would have been more in the group that said all that stuff is over commercialized. But whenever it comes to just enjoying enjoying the hustle and bustle, I do get a little bit of it vicariously through other people's stuff. And that's fine too, because I don't have their mess to clean up when it's all over with. So yeah, there's that. What was that one? There was a Christmas special with Holly Hunter a couple of years ago and Robert Downey Jr. And it involved the dad getting in an argument with the neighbors and fighting with water hoses and and bathrobes and I was going, yeah, not quite that, but yeah, I can relate to man, you miss your family, man, you love your family, but Jesus Louises, I have seen some holidays that were there were some real I don't know what you'd have to say, a hoot. Yeah, that's how I would have to describe that. Yeah. Anyway, my family was definitely full of characters and a lot of really artistic people and a lot of beautiful, artistic, self-destructive people. So, but that's all good. Everybody pretty much did what they were supposed to do, I suppose. I just so you know, I feel like I just got here. I do. I feel like I arrived at